Okay, excellent. Looks like the meeting is recording, so we'll get started here. As I just mentioned, my name is Caleb Reimer. I'm the manager for Cascades Natural Gas Corporation Conservation Energy Efficiency Program, primarily in the state of Washington. We're here for the Q2 Conservation Advisory Group meeting, and we'll get started here right now. First, I'm going to start with a quick safety moment, and then we'll move on to just an opening introduction for everybody, and then any action items from the previous meeting. The safety moment for this morning is all about vision safety or eye health safety. I found an interesting stat online. It's about 20,000 eye injuries that occur in the workplace annually. That's from the American Academy of Ophthalmology. So this is a big deal. This impacts quite a few people. Some things you can do to improve your eye and vision safety is to complete routine eye exams to check your eye health, of course, with your ophthalmologist. Making sure that you're looking away from screens or relaxing your eyes periodically throughout the day. It's especially relevant for us that are working from home or working on computers for most of our times. Also, of course, if you have corrective lenses, be it glasses or contacts, make sure you wear them. Don't squint or strain. That does damage your eyes over time, apparently. And also just some common things to think about, especially with the sun out right now in beautiful Boise. It's making sure you're wearing sunglasses in high light environments. These can prevent you headaches or damage to your eyes, or even something like snow blindness, which happens if you're out skiing or out in the snow for very long periods of time without any protection. If you are in a certain environment, making sure you're wearing safety glasses or face shields or welding masks or whatever it may be that'll protect you from flying debris or intense light. And of course, as always, seek medical help if you're having issues or something happens immediately, like a distortion or having blurry vision. That could be a big deal for you. We'll move on to the next slide here. For our roll call and quarter one action items, to start with, we have no quarter one action items at this time. In terms of roll call, I'm going to pull up on my side screen here and just read the names as they come down the list if we don't mind. Feel free, if you'd like, to either turn on your mic and or camera, say hello, who you are, and which company or organization you're representing. First up actually is alphabetical order. We have Adam Thomas, if you're available.
Hi, Adam Thomas with ADM Associates, the third-party evaluator for Cascade programs.
Thank you, Adam. Jody.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jody Albert. I work with Cascade Natural Gas. I joined about 3 weeks ago. And so I'm just excited to learn more.
Yeah, thanks, Jody. Welcome to the team. Jacinda.
Sorry, I was talking without my mic on.
Yeah.
My name is Jacinda. I work as a hybrid processor for IGC and CNGC, and I was here in the summer as a temp for a little while, and then I got hired on in October.
Yeah. Also, welcome to the team, Jacinda. Carrie.
Good morning, everyone. Carrie Buren, supervisor for Energy Efficiency West program delivery.
Yeah, thanks, Carrie. Brian Farnsworth.
Good morning, Brian Farnsworth. I'm with TRC Companies, and we are the implementer for Cascade Natural Gas Conservation Program for Commercial and Industrial, and I personally work in business development.
Great. Byron.
Good morning, Caleb. My name is Byron Harmon. I'm a regulatory analyst with the Washington Utility and Transportation Commission. Happy to be here.
Yeah, good to have you on. Gil.
Gil Peach. I sometimes do work for Cascade on projects. Right now, working on an equity project.
Yeah, great to have you, Gil. Joseph.
Hello, I am a EE program specialist for Cascade.
Great, thanks, Joseph. Sheila.
Good morning. My name is Sheila McElhinney. I am the senior analyst for energy efficiency at Cascade Natural Gas.
Yeah, excellent. Good morning. Noemi.
Good morning, everyone. Noemi Ortiz, Energy Efficiency Programs Manager for Cascade.
Okay, great. Min.
Hi, everyone. I'm Min Park. I am a regulatory analyst at Intermountain Gas.
Yeah, great to have you on, Min. Peter.
Hey, Peter Christlight. I manage the gas efficiency portfolio at NIA.
Peter. David.
Hi, my name is David Pettit. I'm the Program Performance Analyst at Cascade Natural Gas, and I started in December of last year. Happy to be here.
Yeah, great to have you on, David. Stephanie.
Good morning, everyone. Stephanie Reed. I am Energy Efficiency West Program Delivery Specialist.
Excellent. Brian.
Yeah, hey everyone, Brian Robertson, Manager of Supply Resource Planning with Cascade.
Yeah, welcome on. And Quinn.
Good morning, Quinn Weber, Regulatory Analyst with the Washington Utilities and Transportation Commission.
Yeah, welcome on, Quinn. I think that's everyone. If I did not say your name, please feel free to turn on your mic and introduce yourself at this point. Okay, I'm going to keep moving forward here. Just as a reminder of common courtesies, I would ask if you're not actively speaking to please mute yourself, just so we don't get any feedback or audio issues. If you are speaking, I would request to turn on your camera and your microphone. Of course, if you would not like to turn on your camera, that's also an option. And also, if you could please, when you're speaking, introduce yourself, similar to how you just introduced yourself to the group, just so I know who's speaking and also for the transcription after the fact. As a reminder, these meetings are always transcribed and recorded. We get them uploaded onto our website, usually about a week or two after these meetings occur. So you can always check back in after the fact or send a link to your comrades if you so choose later. Starting out very standard with a portfolio update for Q1 for 2024. We've got just a highlight summary slide here, and then I'll shift over to having Brian highlight our commercial program. I would say one of the big pieces of change for our program in the first quarter of this year is our change with the biennial conservation plan, the 2024-2025 plan. For those that don't recall, we increase incentives pretty much across the board for our residential program and for quite a few of our commercial offerings starting on March 15th, 2024. That's for installs, I should say, on or after March 15th. There's quite a few things that go into this, but some highlight items are updating all of our written electronic material, both for the print versions and updating links and sources and documents on our websites. There's also updates on rebate processing software and system, which is not just, it shouldn't just be on one line, it really should be an entire couple of slides, honestly. That's a full-on process, which Carrie Buren and her team have spent numerous hours updating, troubleshooting, problem solving, testing, all those great things that go into it. So I can't say enough great things about that process. And that's about 99.9% done at this point, just a couple of reporting things that are being updated at this point. Speaking of, our reporting and tracking items are almost complete. Then we've also completed quite a bit of program partner education. We know we don't live in a bubble. We have over 100, for example, trade allies or HVAC partners in the area that work with our program. We have to make sure to educate them on those improvements and updates so they can also get the word out to their customers and hopefully incentivize more therms for the upcoming program year. This also involves collaboration with TRC, who is our commercial partner implementers, repeating a very similar process on their end. And in overall vision, things are going great. We've had a strong infusion of the residential application since March 15th, and our commercial pipeline for projects is looking strong as well. So everything is smooth at this point. I'll shift it over right now to Brian Farnsworth at TRC to provide that commercial program highlight. We've got some great information to share with the group.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to walk through the commercial and industrial update through Q1. So just looking at the numbers, first of all, we did about 50,000 therms through Q1 and about $160,000 in incentives. That represented in 15 projects, and a couple of key projects among those 15 were the Walmart refrigeration heat reclamation project. So you'll see that reflected in our measure summary later. And then Safeway store refrigerated K-stores project. So we do have a strong number of custom projects happening. So we'll go through that a little bit later when we get into our forecast and then when we look at the measure summary. But as Kayla mentioned, so we did communicate the new incentive levels happening as of March 15th to trade allies through an e-blast. And then we've also seen a number of commercial industrial customers who have been interested in updating their facilities through the Clean Buildings Act. So we did a bill insert around that, and we've had also just some unsolicited contact from businesses as a result of that. So that's good to see. Let's see. So then in terms of percentages of where we're lining up, as of right now, we're at 13% to goal with that 48,522 therms. And our goal is a little bit less this year, so it is 368,700 as opposed to the 537 it was last year. And when we get to the forecast, you'll see that we do have a stacked forecast with Walmart and other projects. So let's see. Yeah, so that slide then just shows our pre-pipeline, our therms achieved, and then the remaining to goal, and that will continue to update throughout the year. So next slide, please. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the Safeway and the Walmart, and both of those are represented in the custom category there. So if you're not familiar, that would be a customer that has a gas savings project in mind. It just doesn't fall under the prescriptive category. So they're process-specific type upgrades that have to be analyzed by our technical manager, Bob Cootie. And so both of those projects were an example of that, and we should have many others throughout the year. But you also see at the top of the list in terms of therm savings is boilers, which is typical. Next slide, please. Okay, so this shows our tracking to goal. We are still tracking at our trend line to goal. We're always a bit slow in the beginning of the year. We always have that sort of hockey stick effect, of course. But once we see the forecasted project, you'll see we actually have one of our largest therm saving projects in the last, I don't know, at least maybe 4 or 5 years, if not ever, of 700,000 therms. So we'll get to that in a second here. But yeah, so that project I discussed is the Naval Air Station Whidbey Island project. It's definitely moving along. The updates that will be coming throughout the rest of the year will be in terms of timing, because it does look like it will be a split between 2024 and 2025, which I think is great because the 700,000 would almost, double our goal this year. So a split between this year and next year would be great for that project. You can see that we are also working with some great customers, Walmart, Longview School District, so they're doing some retro commissioning projects at multiple sites. So another 70,000 therms estimated there. So yeah, great forecast of the year, and we'll keep you updated as we have projects added to the forecast and as they come to completion.
Excellent. I think that's our last slide for this commercial update segment. Are there any questions for Brian or the TRC team? Great. We'll keep moving.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having you on. Great. We've got a residential program highlights. I'll flip to the next slide, and I'll also introduce David Pettit, who is our program performance analyst. He's going to be highlighting this section here. From an overview perspective, welcome on, David. Things are going great. We are ahead of pace at this point, and with our transition in the first quarter of the year, things are looking smooth. Welcome on, David.
Hi, everyone. My name is David Pettit. I'm the program performance analyst at Cascade Natural Gas, and I'm here to present the unofficial Q1 2024 program performance. As Caleb mentioned, great news. Cascade's Q1 performance is significantly higher than the same period last year, so great work, team. Our Q1 performance of approximately 145,000 therm saves accounts for 34% of our annual therm savings goal. In the same period last year, we saved approximately 124,000 therms for 24% of our savings goal. Our Q1 performance resulted in 17% more therm saved when compared to the same period last year. And we're at 125% of our 2023 processing pace, with 2,162 applications processed through the end of Q1. The savings in Q1 were comprised of the following top 3 measures: ceiling and attic insulation, comprising 25% of measures and 31% of therms; air sealing, comprising 22% of measures and 23% of therms; and furnaces, comprising 17% of measures and 23% of therms.
Yeah, fantastic. And just from an overview, we saw we're about 25% higher processing pace than this time last year. Just major kudos to the program processing team who handles all those applications and customer contacts. Even though they're spending quite a bit of time testing software and updating documents and procedures for our conservation plan change, we were still able to get these projects through and get our customers incentivized and rebated out. So just great news across the board there.
Our 2024-2025 biennium therm savings goals was 928,665 therms. As of the end of Q1, we've achieved 16% of our biennium savings goal, while only 12.5% of the biennium time period has elapsed. Is there any questions that I can answer this time? Great. Well, I'll turn it over to Caleb for an update on the EMV process.
Excellent. We're going to be sharing our EMV update at this point. Also, as a general reminder, if anyone has any questions throughout these presentations, feel free to raise your hand and we'll call on you as quickly as possible. Otherwise, you're also welcome to share any questions towards the end of the presentation if you prefer. We'll have plenty of time to talk and discuss. We've got about 3 hours allocated for this meeting, probably more like 90 minutes of actual content though, so plenty of time. And depending on timing, we'll also look at taking a break on the hour, depending on where we're at in the agenda. At this point, though, we're going to be looking at an EM&V update. We actually have some of our guests from ADM on the call right now. And requests, looks like Adam's turning on here. Adam, please feel free to introduce yourself. We're really happy to have you on here and highlight this process from the past couple of years and also a bit of a highlight for our next 2-year plan here. So welcome on, Adam.
Thanks. Adam Thomas. I'm a principal at ADM Associates, and since about September of 2022, we've been leading the evaluation and measurement and verification of the Cascade measures and programs. We completed a report last year on commercial measures and are this year working on a couple of studies that I'll get further into detail into in the slides. Next slide. There's the outline. I'll go over just a brief summary of what we performed, what was completed and filed last year, and then an interim update of our reporting that is nearly done for this time around, including some discussions of our methods as well.
Fantastic.
Okay, we are currently conducting 2 separate studies: a residential impact evaluation of boilers, furnaces, hearths, and water heaters, as well as a portfolio-wide process evaluation. The goal of the impact evaluation is to give a bit of a verification of savings that occurred, as well as recommendations for deemed savings going forward based off of actual performance data of the measures installed. The process evaluation is garnering customer feedback from program participants, trade allies, CAP agencies across all market sectors to get an assessment of how programs are operating, customer feedback, and to identify areas for program improvement. Go on to the next slide. Just a timeline of what we are doing and what's coming up next. We have in our schedule for after this current report, we will be working on a residential building envelope, essentially tackling the envelope and low-income programs for air sealing, duct sealing, insulation, windows, what have you. And 2025 will be covering industrial impact evaluation. Okay, so this was just a summary of the overall findings from our commercial study that we completed last year. The last time I was in this meeting presenting, the results were considered interim. They went forward with very minimal change from there, but just to fully memorialize, this is the result of our analysis of these measures, which included billing analysis of envelope and space heating measures, more of a a deemed analysis and code review of food service equipment, and with some deemed assumptions on use, and then custom analyses, which was a mixture of methods applying the International Measurement, Performance, and Verification Protocols, or IPMVP. Next slide.
Okay, excellent. And if anyone cares to review that document, it's filed under UG 210838 on the WTC website. So you're more than welcome to go out there. It's all public facing.
Okay, so I want to go in a couple of just brief discussions of the methods here. When we do analysis of billing data that goes into developing the residential savings, there's pre-post billing analysis, and that is pretty straightforward. We look at the bills of participants before and after and use that in a statistical model to make a weather-adjusted measurement of the impact of the program. We use this for measures that are add-ons to existing equipment, where you use the pre-existing condition as the assumed baseline. And that would be, for example, smart thermostats and programmable thermostats as noted examples. Heat load analysis. This is a method we apply for space heating measures because we are taking the presumption of a minimum code baseline. So in order to do this, we take advantage of the fact that we are looking at multiple years of data. We know the capacity and the efficiency of the furnace or boiler that's been installed, and we have the customer's bills. So we can use that to divide out what's the weather normalized load hours of a furnace or boiler in someone's home. And that is an input to an engineering algorithm of rated efficiency compared to minimum code. We do this because if you were to do a pre-post analysis of a furnace or boiler, you are assuming the pre-existing condition baseline. And that introduces some complexities, such as if the system was functioning but near failure, it could have performance degradation on its efficiency that can, degrade it another 5 or 10%. Or if you are comparing it to a completely failed system, there could be zero operation because they're using an alternative heat source while waiting to get their furnace repaired. So there's a couple of complexities that this method sorts out and puts everything on the same footing of, here are the hours of use as identified in the customer billing data, and here are the savings that result from that when you compare the efficiency of what they purchased versus the minimum qualifying equipment that satisfies the load. Lastly, there are some measures that we did use deemed unit energy savings, things like clothes washers, where the savings are so low that you can't reasonably identify them in billing data. So I'm going to pause here for any questions on our methods before going into results. So does anyone have any questions about the general impact approach we've been taking by measure? Okay, well, then I'll just go right forward. Just our regression, our general regression model. We take what's called a fixed effects model, where there is, I can go into some statistically nerdy specifics. Unless told to stop, I suppose I will keep at it. Where we have their consumption, the heating degree days, a control variable for periods of COVID-19 related shutdown, since our study period includes that time period, as well as a customer dummy variable. That is a 0-1 variable. For example, that means if the customer is Adam Thomas, the Adam Thomas variable is 1, otherwise it's 0. And that's basically a way of creating a unique intercept for every customer in the model, and improves the model's predictive power. And when we do pre-post billing analysis for smart thermostats and programmable thermostats, we in the end provided a savings estimate that was on a per square foot of space heating, of heated space affected by the thermostat. as that is sort of a way to provide it that is, an impact result that is then usable going forward for program implementation. Next slide. Okay, now just the formula for heat load analysis. And in this, that's the method we described of dividing out usage by capacity and efficiency to get hours. Now, the results of this are first used to provide verified savings for the study period, but then to also provide a recommendation of here is the savings you should claim for a furnace per 1,000 input BTU. And again, that's just to formulate the impact evaluation results into a way that's usable by Cascade to calculate deemed savings going forward that are grounded in the actual usage, consumption and usage habits of their customers. Okay, these are the baseline efficiencies we applied based off of a time period of installation. For boilers, combi radiant heating furnaces, and gas hearths. And this is just a summary of the expected therms. No surprise, the elephant in the table here is furnaces, followed by some of the programmable thermostats and tankless water heater measures. And from the subsequent slides are going to be going into the results. Oh, and that's that font size should have been made bigger. So I am sorry for everyone's eye straining. If it's bad for me, I'm sure it's bad for you all. Our verified savings for a lot of the key measures were actually higher than expected. Furnaces, tankless water heaters, and programmable thermostats notably had higher savings. Areas of lower savings particularly could be found in clothes washers and hearths or fireplaces.
Yeah, for those squinting right now, we have more data on the next slide, so don't worry about it.
Okay, I'm gonna have to send a memo to staff about presentation font sizes, and that's okay. All right. So yeah, there's the realization rates, or what we verified divided by what was expected for each of the systems, for each of the system types. Pretty good results across the board here, and so the conclusion we would take was that there was some good, reasonably conservative estimation done on the expected savings front for what was claimed. Sometimes these things can go afoul when industry rules of thumb are used, but the Cascade and their implementers had some, for the most part, good conservative sources that weren't overestimating or overclaiming on savings.
And Adam, if I were to look at one number on this table, would you say that the realization rate of 121% is the most impactful? And you could say for every 100 therms that we thought we saved over the period, we saved about 121 therms?
That is the correct assessment of what happened from 2018 to 2022 for these measures. Yes.
Thank you very much. Should we move on?
Sorry, does anyone have any questions here? This is where the rubber meets the road, and happy to dig in further. Well then, okay. So that's just it. When we talk about some of the measures and why their savings are higher, I'll have a couple of standouts here. Boilers had very high savings. The average customer that participated with the boilers had usage 1.5 times the customer mean for Washington. So it was just larger households and larger systems. And so when we analyzed their data, their usage was more than the per unit estimate that was expected. But that being said, their result has been translated into a per 1,000 input BTU value. So if future participants are smaller homes, they'll be scaled down accordingly. Combination systems were analyzed in sort of a mixed mode where they are, because they are satisfying both the space heating and the water heating load. And so we, we made sure to capture both of those in the analytical approach. Hearths were a tricky bit of analysis in that, they're the qualifying systems are sort of, integrated with the space heating of the home. But we, without, we had to take some rules of thumb using some third-party data that we had sourced, basically parsing out what percent of residential gas use is from gas fireplaces in Washington, and use that to scale down bills and savings accordingly. And this is, we took that tact as the best data available without asking for $150,000 to spend on a monitoring study of fireplaces. And so that was sort of, what I would describe as the most limited approach, in that it required sort of a industry data on fireplace use to scale billing data. That being said, we did find a 40% or 39% realization rate for this measure. For storage tank water heaters, they were a very small component of the program, but we updated the baseline uniform energy factor to correspond with the size of the systems. So that the required efficiency goes up as size goes up, and so we had the systems installed were 50-gallon systems, which have a UEF requirement of 0.62. And then for clothes washers, we found 38% realization, but that was looking at the specifics of the systems installed. We had found that this was a measure where the savings were done assuming gas water heating, assuming the most efficient option. And this was us just taking the same parameters and applying equipment actual efficiencies. So 38% realization, but it was of a tiny measure. So from the portfolio perspective, pretty inconsequential. Next slide. Okay, and this was just a summary of our savings calculations recommendation. If someone applies for a furnace rebate, they should get 2.22 therms savings per 1,000 input BTU. And this is assuming that they don't do anything as far as changing their program Cascade. That Cascade doesn't change program qualification. Under their current program qualification rules, this is our recommended savings based off of our analysis of the billing data. And that would align their future furnaces of whatever size they may be with the results of this study. Since this is where, we've developed the recommendations for what savings will look like going forward, I would also, welcome any question or comment here. I see a hand. Hello.
Hi,
Quinn.
Hi, Quinn Weber with Washington UTC. I'm curious if you have a breakdown of sort of like an equity analysis on this, like what kind of households achieved what savings, etc.
Well, when it comes to it, the measures this year, I mean, when you talk about furnace replacement, if we don't have an assessment of whether those customers were low income, but generally speaking, a person who buys a condensing furnace is not low income. So for these measures, I can take a bigger deep, but just by the nature of the measures they are, and that they are rebate programs and not low income direct servicing type of programs, I would expect to see the percent of low income benefits from this to be on the lower end compared to what we'll be studying in 2024, which will include the low income programs and the envelope improvements.
Thank you. Appreciate the answer.
No problem. Sorry, Caleb, am I mischaracterizing, or does that sound jive with your expectations?
No, I think that's exactly right. This was not targeted towards our low-income segment or weatherization programs. That'll be in the future year, which will be a very important study that we'll be conducting here. This is going to be for our standard residential, called the free market style of incentivizing and rebates. Great question here, Quinn. I'm happy to keep the conversations going. The other piece to The other piece to think about on this table, this is at the high level of some things that we should be thinking about for improvement in the future. E&B from our perspectives is about future improvement, future changes that go in. So incorporating these thoughts, these changes in, say, per unit effect into our next conservation potential assessment or any interim changes in our conservation plan, for example, all things to be discussing and thinking about in the future. But overall, we had some great results and just a great experience with working with ADM over the past, 6 or so months on this project.
Yeah. Now, if I was going, I'm going to ask my staff on this to dig into available data we have on our customer surveys, for example. If we, maybe I could identify if the thermostat end of it would include low-income participation, as that is a measure that could conceivably and be found to have more equitable benefits than furnaces or tankless water heaters. But so I'll look into that, but I presently don't have that answer for this call. I can maybe provide it by email sometime later this week, if that would be of interest.
Yeah, I'll drop my email in the chat.
Okay.
Just writing down that action item real quick, Adam. Should I go to the next slide here?
Yeah. And
looks like Corey
has we have a question. Corey?
Yeah, I just want to, this is Corey from Public Counsel. Just kind of jumping off of Quinn's question, I would say that in terms of looking at the equity aspects of delivering programs or delivering measures to customers, I would look at more than income, because there are several vulnerability factors. When we're looking at equity and what that means in terms of delivering benefits to customers, it's more than just income. Income is certainly a part of that, but in looking at distributing those benefits, we need to be looking at more than just income factors.
And this sounds like an important, this is kind of something that we would be looking to address in part with the process evaluation, which includes a broad customer survey effort that would collects some of the data for the intersection of categories that you're describing. The study that this table is built off of is, I would describe it at best as customer agnostic. It's more of, here's the savings and here's the most accurate way to claim it going forward to minimize under or over collection. Would be, as far as if I was to characterize the goals of the effort that went into creating this table. But our process evaluation that's currently in progress would be more towards the end of the research question you're describing.
It's actually a great segue into the next section here.
Oh, great.
Thanks. Corey, does that address what you're thinking, or should we talk about that a bit more?
I think it does for now. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks. And we have more slides here we can always talk through as well. Yeah, great segue.
Okay, so this is when you see IDI in this table, that stands for in-depth interview. And just to characterize that versus a survey has, pre-programmed answers with the option for verbatim responses provided, versus an in-depth interview is conducted by, our higher level consulting staff, and will have general questions, but is meant to be open to the meandering direction that these things take, where we have our topics we want to cover, but it's more of a much broader conversation lasting up to an hour with key partners in the program, such as home builders, cap agencies, trade allies, and then on the commercial program, targeting key large accounts for in-depth interviews for subjects such as strategic energy management. We're also conducting program benchmarking and interviews with other gas utilities to obtain, feedback or ideas on how programs are implemented. And I will, and as well as, we conducted surveys with non-participants as well, and that is one of the areas where we might address, for example, demographic differences in participants versus non-participants. So, just a status update on where we are. We are not as far along in process as we are in impact. Impact was earlier in the queue. The non-participant survey, for example, has not been conducted, but we do have over 500 residential surveys completed. We are working on, our interviews now, trying to drag builders and CAP agencies into completion. The CAP agencies have been easier to recruit. Same thing with the commercial program. We're currently in progress with our surveys and trade ally interviews, and our discussions with strategic energy management customers and our benchmarking interviews with our utilities are currently in progress. I believe we've completed 3 interviews with other utilities to obtain information on program implementation. Those utilities by name are going to be kept anonymous, though. So in terms of the organizations they represent, and will be characterized in the report as a gas utility from X region, and includes a mixture of Pacific Northwest as well as other areas of the U.S. Here's just a brief summary of satisfaction metrics. Good satisfaction with the program overall and with Cascade. And as in the results I've seen repeated ad nauseum since time immemorial, the lowest satisfaction is on wait time to receive rebates. Everyone would like it tomorrow, but these. I would say the relatively lower satisfaction on wait times to receive rebates are about par for the course and are to us unsurprising. 81% of respondents find Cascade to be a trustworthy source of information on gas efficiency. We have a good mix of measures, furnaces, insulation, thermostats in the survey, and so that's just there's more to go in terms of the analysis of the survey. I mean, our completion of this survey is relatively recent, so this is all just first cut. Low income, we do not have many customers with whom to speak. The program is smaller. We reached about 20% of the program participants. And so we are pleased with that response rate, but less pleased with that end count, but are presenting the results that are available. And again, one thing that we noted was even higher satisfaction with Cascade overall compared to market rate participants. Lower satisfaction amount with application processes and what have you. And I need to update this graph. It was discussing wait time rebates. That these customers are more asked questions of wait time to receive services, not rebates. This was a bad graph creation, for which I apologize. So unless there's any questions, and go on to the next slide. So preliminary results from our CAP agencies, or Community Action Program agencies that support weatherization efforts. A lot of them are long tenured at CNGC. They kind of have to deal with a myriad of funding sources and requirements. We've talked about them with their process for how they handle homeowners versus homeowners versus landlords, and requirements as far as rent restrictions or tenant eviction after that type of stuff after service. And this is something we talked about as far as the barrier to engagement, as far as needing major home repairs. And this is not uncommon, where if there are times where a home needs major repair that is outside the scope of a weatherization program, it's very common, such as, if if the home has knob and tube wiring or is basically, missing missing a window entirely. There's things like that that fall under, or needs a severe mold remediation. These types of things where a home can be, by CAP agency sort of guidelines, in too poor of a quality to weatherize. And so they describe that as their biggest barrier. And as far as being able to service homes within the context of efficiency programs. And so that is sort of an area of sort of important consideration of other funding sources to be brought to bear for the major home repairs that are required in order to be able to safely then weatherize the home. It would be, for example, if a home has air quality issues stemming from mold, for example, sealing the home and reducing the number of air changes per hour can be a negative health outcome. And so that's the sort of stuff that needs to be addressed. So I guess next slide. And this is just our timeline for remaining activities. This was for the residential. This is for the residential study. Our process impact study being finalized by May 1st. The process evaluation is going to take longer than that, though. And pardon?
I think we're nearing the end of the slides here. We've got questions here. And reminder from the perspective of the group, once we receive this final report for the impact evaluation as well as the process evaluation, we'll be sharing those drafts with our advisory group for approximately a 30-day review period, providing any inputs, questions, or insights to either go back and work with ADM on to investigate or to just make small edits to the document and then finally file with a WTC in the relevant document. If there's any questions about that process, let us know. Really about the overall experience with Adam and ADM or even V.
Caleb?
Yeah, yes, sir.
This is Gil Peach. I thought that was a really excellent presentation, really great presentation. And the thing that I wanted to comment on is the walkaways, the low-income homes that can't be treated because they need structural help. Basically, they need rehab or retrofit of non-energy things before you can put the energy things in. I just wanted to mention that in previous meetings, Cascade has presented evidence that to deal with those walkaways, it takes like $30,000 to $50,000 per home. And that's across both single family and apartments. And we had a thing at the Energy Efficiency as a Resource Conference in Philadelphia last fall, and they presented from Michigan and Pennsylvania. And they had the same numbers. And I just thought I'd share that. When you bring people together and you share the information on walkaways and could you treat them, and they do these experimental projects where you treat some of them, it's coming in about $30,000 or $50,000 a home. And from an equity perspective, what that represents is like sins of the past. It's like all the things that have kept people down in an income group where they don't have enough money to pay their bills. And that accumulates over time, and the walkaways accumulate over time, so that as a proportion of homes, they build a little bit over the years. But that's the kind of thing from the point of view of if the commission's thinking about addressing equity, when you try to do that, you got to spend a high multiple of dollars to get a small amount of savings, but you are producing social justice. So I just point that out. It's a trade-off. What can you do?
Yeah, thank you, Gil. I appreciate you sharing your insight and industry experience. And of course, I know we have great partners with NOEMI and a lot of the CAP agencies to learn more and keep investigating, providing more equity and justice and opportunities for those individuals. Really happy to have NOEMI, really happy to have you on the call today, Gil. Great. If there's any other questions for ADM or for Adam Thomas, please let us know. You can reach out to myself directly, and I can, funnel any questions his way. And I know we have an action item as well, just to do a little more digging and research into some equity about the impact evaluation. So I'm sure Adam's team will be looking at that over the next week or so.
We have copy and pasted Quinn's email address, and we'll follow up with the information we have available.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Adam. And I just really want to summarize that the work with ADM over the past 2 years has been fantastic. We're really fortunate to have them as a partner, and I'm really looking forward to having them over the next 2 years to complete a similar process evaluation in about 2 years, and to also finish reviewing the impact evaluation from the other half of our program. This is a requirement from our biennial conservation plan conditions document to complete these process, which was added in the last plan just over 2.5 years ago. It seems to be going quite smooth, and I'm happy with the results so far. Great. Adam, welcome to drop off the meeting if you so choose. Otherwise, you're welcome to listen in.
If it's all the same, I might go ahead and drop. But just if there's follow-up questions that come after my departure, just let me know and I'll follow up. Take care, everybody.
Thanks. Okay. Moving on to our next section here. This is going to be talking about the point of sale program for our residential program. Joining us, we have Stephanie Reed, who is one of our specialists and represents this program and onboarding and welcoming many of our trade allies into this program here. So Stephanie's got just a couple of slides to summarize how the program's going, what we're talking about, what our plans are. Overall, it's fantastic and things are going really well with this subset as well. Stephanie?
Thank you, Caleb. Good morning, everyone. Once again, Stephanie Reed, EE West Program Delivery Specialist. Point of sale continues to run strong. Currently, we have 24 point of sale allies who have memorandum of understanding signed, which shows a 50% growth over last year. Point of sale made up 50% of therms in 2023. CNGC continues with expedited payments, partner onboarding, direct communication, and trusted relationships. Installation is the most relevant as the measure is more attractive to the point of sale ally and customer. Next slide, please, Caleb.
Yeah, great. And we really should highlight that continued fostering education even more. It's just fantastic. Stephanie spent a significant amount of time with admins at each of these companies to train them, help them fill out applications, provide information so there's nothing missing, which requires multiples of the amount of time and investment after the fact. That fostering is extremely important, and it's perhaps one of the best compliments we've received from the program so far compared to others in the area. There's those HVAC or insulation companies that experience. Our next slide here.
All right. In 2023, point of sale brought in roughly 2,700 applications. For point of sale growth in 2024, we will add 3 additional point of sale allies a quarter. We're going to seek more HVAC contractors, and we're going to expand in the service territories. Pretty much sums it up. Any questions? All right. Thank you for your time. Caleb, back to you.
Yeah, great. Those curious, we're going to be having a section of this in our upcoming biennial conservation report from the past 2 years. We'll have some more data there, but overall, you can see the chart with the bars basically exploding off the screen. It's just fantastic. Really happy to have Stephanie leading this program and having our HVAC contractors join more and more frequently. It minimizes some of the friction in completing applications for homeowners, for example. It also decreases the time for those homeowners to have to front, say, a few $1,000s to complete the job. There's a lot of benefits there, and we're not hearing many negatives yet. So if there's any questions, please feel free to reach out. Otherwise, look for some more details in that report that I'll actually be talking about in, say, 20 or 30 minutes. Thanks, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we have Noemi on the call as well. Noemi's going to be presenting, I think Sheila as well, if I recall, will be presenting an update on our low-income weatherization program. We've got a handful of slides and also a video at the end to show some of the work that was just recently completed. Feel free to turn on your mic and camera and introduce yourself to the group.
Yeah, thank you, Caleb.
Go ahead.
Yeah, welcome.
Sorry, go ahead, Sheila. Sheila will cover the first half of these slides and then I'll go next. Thank you.
Thanks, Sheila.
Sure. Short of actually reading the table to you, I'll just say that we're on a good pace for Q1 in 2024 with 20 projects completed, and we have about, I don't know, 6 or 7 that are still under review. So our participation rate is good. It's matching 2023, which was higher than usual. And we have an average cost per project of coming in about $20,000. So the number of measures per project and the average number of therms per project has also gone up compared to years past. And we had one project that was 8 measures. You can see there that came to almost $47,000. So everything's going well, and we have a couple of updates to do, but I'll hand it over to Noemi now unless someone has questions.
We might have one more slide as well to talk about this. Pretty similar stuff to our past.
Sure. This is the agreement that we have with each agency. They actually requested that we have a formalized agreement with them so that they could, for budgetary reasons and discussion with their executive directors. So some, as you can see, like, for example, Housing Authority of Skagit County, they said they were going to do 13 homes. They've already completed 6. So they're well ahead of the curve. Other agencies, Coastal Community Action Program, said they're going to do 15 and they've completed 1. It still is the first quarter of the year, so we'll give it a little bit of time, but we want the agencies to take action, and we'd like them to commit to a reasonable number of homes each year. And my job is just to provide any information and try and remove barriers as far as the program design so that they can move forward. Any questions on this slide? Okay.
Great. Thanks, Sheila.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Sheila and Caleb. So updates here. We have, in the last CAG meeting, I shared that the RFP was going to go out. These are just some updates that the Department of Commerce provided for us. They've sent out the RFP in the last week, April 8th. In that RFP, essentially, the multifamily RFP is to drive more urban and rural multifamily weatherization projects across the state. This is also coming from them hiring a workforce development manager. So that work continues there. We should have more updates by the next CAG meeting. One additional thing that we've been working on over the last 6 months to a year, we've continued to work with the Department of Commerce and have strongly advocated for a joint meeting with community action agencies and utility partners. We're looking to strengthen those relationships and at the same time allow us to be in the room with agencies and commerce in order to collaborate on potential items such as program changes, policies, and overall improvement of the program in our service territory, and also just delivery of services to customers. This also ensures that we have updates from both commerce and CAP agencies in real time. Something that we've found and happens in Oregon is that we've traditionally been invited and had a seat at the table to the network meetings and also with our funders, so OHCS. And it's been a learning experience. So it's something that we've also advocated in Washington, and thankfully we've been able to leverage what we're doing in Oregon in order to also work with the Department of Commerce here in Washington. So we're looking forward to having those meetings and being able to have that firsthand knowledge and be in the room as they're having those conversations, seeing as how we're leveraging funding with community action agencies and also the Department of Commerce to, as Gil mentioned, these costs are very high, and you saw in Coastal Community Action had one project that was $39,000. Those are on top of the additional work that needs to be done, like knob and tube or full rewiring or a roof leak, that is also not including weatherization measures. So these projects are coming in very high, both in Washington and Oregon. So this is something that we continue to work through and can't technically control the cost of the projects, but we can be in the room to help facilitate some of these conversations and ensure the agencies are not only using, Cascade funds, but are also taking the opportunity to leverage these funds and hopefully drive down the cost, both for the Department of Commerce and Cascade, and further ensuring that we can continue to serve additional customers. Even cutting cost, maybe by 10,000 or something like that could potentially mean that we can serve an additional home or two if we can find one with limited measures and isn't as comprehensive and costing as much. Next slide, Caleb. One other effort going on now is the targeted outreach. So we've started over the last few months. We've been working on targeted outreach to housing authorities and Section 8 landlords. We hope to increase participation for the income weatherization incentive program. In the past, we partnered with CAP agencies to complete program outreach. And then we continue to do that and provide that support for our local agencies. We also feel it's important to take some additional steps to ensure that we're reaching more customers in our service areas. Through this approach, we hope to identify customers and leverage community action agency expertise, such as their energy auditors and QCI inspectors, in order to deliver weatherization services. With this, we also understand that CAP agencies have limited bandwidth, so we've also taken some steps to meet with third-party vendors to deliver weatherization services. Most of expertise in the low income. They focus on low income, do energy audits, QCI, and also income eligibility. With the thought, or also knowing that CAP agencies will have the first right of refusal, will present any projects that come out of this, any eligibility. We'll give the agencies the opportunity to review this project, see if they have bandwidth, if they can complete this project. If not, this is when our third-party vendor will come through and help deliver these services. We're hoping to provide, other than increasing participation, just ensuring that we're not having individuals wait a long period of time for services. Some agencies are at capacity, have some wait lists, so we want to make sure that we're having alternative pathways to deliver these low-income services. Also, one additional thing, by targeting the housing authorities and the Section 8 landlords, we believe it'll reduce barriers to income limited households. We understand that in most cases there isn't that bandwidth to prioritize energy efficiency measures. So we hope that by targeting the housing authorities and the Section 8 landlords directly, we'll be able to do a lot of the legwork there, do the eligibility, do the program assessment, the energy assessment, and really all we'll need from the customer is their consent to both enter the home, do the energy assessment, and consent to receive their FPL levels to ensure that they're eligible for the program. However, as far as the eligibility, we know that housing authorities and Section 8 landlords also have strict income guidelines. So for the most part, I believe 90% of the tenants there are already income eligible. And then the last 10% are kind of individuals that have their income has changed over a period of time and transitioning out of the housing authority units. So that's the hope there, that if we can work directly with these two, the housing authority and their Section 8 landlords, we can reduce those barriers to low income individuals and deliver that work and hope improve both the comfort and their home quality life and provide services that they would normally not prioritize due to other factors. And I believe that's all I have If there are any questions, happy to answer any.
Great.
Right.
I'm going to go to the
you.
next slide, Noemi. I think we've got just about a 1 minute or so video demonstrating that actual video that we're producing and distributing to those targeted audiences. I'm hoping the technology works for me here. So I'm going to click play and someone give me a thumbs up, assuming the audio is rolling.
Section 8 landlords. Did you know your property may qualify for no cost energy?
Oops.
Saving upgrades? Cascade Natural Gas offers improvements to help you maintain healthy and affordable properties for your tenants. No-cost upgrades are available for gas furnaces, water heaters, insulation, and more. Low-income weatherization provides immediate benefits for your renters, supports a sustainable future, and a thriving community. Ready to enhance your property and make a difference in your community? Limited funds are available this year. So now is the time to apply. Complete this 30-second quiz to see if you're eligible. Our partnership serves our communities.
Thank you so much, Caleb. And I'll speak a little bit on that video that I forgot was at the end of the slide. So this video has been a collaboration with our energy efficiency outreach specialist that has worked over the last months with a third-party vendor to create this video. And the quiz that you saw there at the end is intended, since it'll be going to the Housing Authority in Section 8, it has a high-level overview of questions to identify if they're both the units in the housing authorities qualify, if there's any prompting questions there that would lead us to believe they qualify. So this will do a lot of the pre-work that we need to filter out agencies and see if they qualify or if they've had measures done in the past, which an example is the Sunnyside Housing Authority. We know that we've worked with them already and completed 46 units. So we know automatically that they wouldn't, even then, probably wouldn't complete the survey, but we've also reached out to see if they have additional units available, but we know we've served them in the past, so they more than likely would not qualify for the program. But this is helping filter out some of these eligible customers. And also it helps, the customer themselves know as soon as they know it stops them in a certain section. If they're not eligible, they'll get that immediate response there, noting that they're not eligible for these type of services. Like I said, income-wise, we know that they would be eligible. So it's just a matter if the units have either received energy efficiency measures or anything of that type. So this video is going out to housing authorities right now. We've shared with 2 separate housing authorities, so we hope to hear back. We have 3 touch points, so sending this first, doing cold calls, and then sending out these email, and then follow up that's going on with our energy efficiency outreach specialist. So that's what this video is doing. So we hope to increase participation in weatherization here in the next, hopefully in the next few months.
Yeah, great. Increasing participation from our record year as well. That's a great goal to have. I'm really fortunate to have Noemi and Sheila and Juan Diego who helped produce this video, leading that program. Very proficient, but great people to do it. So thanks for hopping on here, Noemi and Sheila. All right, I'm going to
Section 8.
Go into the next section here. And we've actually got about 4 or 5 pieces left. So I'm going to suggest we take right around a 6 or so minute break and come back 15 minutes after the hour. So that'd be approximately 10:15 a.m. Pacific time. Then we'll see you all back here and we'll keep going through the rest of this presentation. All right, we're back from that 5-minute intermission. It's now 15 minutes past the hour. I hope everyone had a chance to practice that safety moment and relax your eyes for a bit, change that focal distance, all those good things involved. You've got a handful of just updates for the group here that are following, maybe 15 or so minutes of content. Once again, everyone is welcome to raise their hand, ask any questions that may arise, and then I'd request that you introduce yourself and then ask your question or comment or whatever it may be. The first topic up is the ERA software migration update. This is something we've shared with the group over the past couple of meetings, so we're just providing an update on that process. As a reminder, we are currently using what's called the DSMC to process our rebates and facilitate the rebate transactions. That's by a third-party software provider called Resource Innovations. Our plan is to migrate towards an internally developed solution called ERA, or Enterprise Rebate Application, that's produced by MDU's IT team. The timeline and the scope for that is relatively unchanged from our last update. We're looking at a year end of 2024 for this conversion. And as a reminder, this is not a brand new development. This is going to be a hybrid solution or a migration that Intermountain Gas, who is perhaps our sister utility, they're part of our EE West Energy Efficiency Collaboration Group. They've been using the software for just over a year at this point with great success. They've seen good processing efficiency, able to produce software updates and data tracking and different operational costs, all these great things that they've experienced. So our team is working with IT, scoping out that solution, thinking about pieces like our trade ally software, how we're processing rebates, how we're actually submitting things to accounting for payment. All those pieces are going into the scoping and the process is moving along. We anticipate to continue providing updates in this process. It's a pretty big piece of how we actually interact with our customers and do what we do, which is save therms and provide incentives back to customers. I really just highlighted all these things, but different mapping, public-facing aspects, and continuing to provide updates here. I apologize for not shifting to the right slide. Okay, the next topic up, this is forward-looking. This is our 2025 Conservation Potential Assessment. I believe this is the first time talking about this particular assessment with the group because it's about a year or so from now when it's actually going to be completed. However, I'd like to get on everyone's minds and start the process as soon as possible. As a reminder, we're required to complete the CPA as a part of our BCP, that's Biennial Conservation Plan Conditions document. Our most recent conditions document is filed under UG 230937, Attachment A, Section 3, if you so choose to view it. But in summary, it's a requirement for us to establish both 10-year and 2-year conservation potential targets for the program and produce certain cost tests, certain inputs, certain outputs, all the great things that are really well outlined in that document, actually. So that's going to be our baseline for what we're going to be producing. In terms of timeline here, the CAG will be receiving a first draft just over a year from now, actually, so May 1st. That'll be filed in a new docket, once again, according to the conditions document, 1 month after, by June 1st of 2025. In terms of our partner for this piece, it's extremely important to pick the right partner and pick the most competent partner that we have for this. Historically, we have partnered with Applied Energy Group, AEG, to complete the CPA. It's been a great partnership. They've got a great understanding of the program over the years. They understand timelines, how to present draft updates and periodic updates to this conservation advisory group. So you've actually met some of the individuals that they work with on a daily or weekly basis with that group. They're also well informed on inputs into the model that CNGC provides, such as things like gas usage, customer counts, avoided costs, heating degree days, all the great things that go into it. And they're also very familiar with Washington code. They partnered up with other utilities in the area. This is something they focus on, something they specialize in, and they served as pseudo-code experts for us in navigating the changing code landscape and environment in Washington. So we're really happy with that partnership, and we do intend to partner with them again for this upcoming CPA. In terms of timeline, we're looking to start this relatively early. I'm looking to start this right around July of 2024 to begin contracting and start that work. The reason is we believe there's time and facilitations to do some robust model updating, getting group input, so providing some really rough drafts to this group and other industry experts to give us their input, review assumptions, work with the IRP, which is the Integrated Resource Plan. The CPA is a big influencer on typically Chapter 7, the demand-side management chapter for the IRP. And it's also for scenario analysis. Either from this group or from outside pieces, we can do scenario analysis with the CPA if there's enough time involved. And it's also part of the IRP, where they can change assumptions on, say, customer count or gas usage or different pieces that we can coordinate with them in the same timeline. I'm really feeling confident about working with AEG and completing on this timeline. So I'll begin the conversations with them and likely the contracting work in the upcoming months. If there's any questions or thoughts from me, please feel free to reach out. Otherwise, we're going to move on to the next topic. Okay. The next topic is NEA Cycle 7 funding. This is a new topic for us as well. NEA is the Northwest Energy Efficiency Alliance. It's something that program has participated in historically in the past, and NEA has been around for right around 30 years, in my understanding, starting with electric utilities and growing into the gas side of things over the last couple of cycles. Currently, there's about 140 utilities and organizations that are represented by NEA, and they focus on market transformation and collaboration. I've been fortunate to become a part of NEA and their board chair, learning about the group, providing any sort of insights from this team as well as from this advisory group and the thoughts on what NEA should do and what they have done in the past. It's a good partnership that we have going with them. The reason I'm bringing it up right now is because they are currently almost done with their 2025-2029 funding commitments, which is the Cycle 7 timeframe, by the way. In terms of the obligations for Cascade specifically, we're looking at requests to provide about 9.6% of the gas portfolio funding share, which is, I believe, unchanged from the most recent cycle. That's going to amount to just over $3 million in cycle funding over that 5-year period. And in terms of energy savings, we're looking at between about 0.6 and 1.6 million therms over that time frame is their current estimate. They've got full documents and business plans and breakdowns of what their plans are to accomplish that, and timelines and interim goals. All that great stuff is available for NEA, and I believe that's also public facing. This is something that they're looking to complete and finalize that funding commitment over the next handful of months to get in place before 2025. In terms of our participation, we are currently planning on participating for the upcoming cycle, although this group should note that there is no explicit requirement in the 2024-2025 biennium according to that same BCP conditions document that I mentioned. However, we are planning to participate, and we're reviewing those commitment documents and conversations with NEA, looking at different clauses for, say, opting in partially or opting out if certain circumstances preclude themselves. All those pieces are going into it. So our legal team is reviewing, our risk analysis team is reviewing, and our IT team is reviewing. That process is underway. So no actions at this time for our advisory group, but I would anticipate over the next couple of meetings, we'll have some finalized funding commitments and documents and conversations to be had for the upcoming cycle. Okay, and I think this might actually be our last section. It's a biennial report update. We shared an update on this at the last meeting. Really nothing new here, no surprises. Things are going well. In terms of what we're talking about, it's our 2022-2023 biennial report. So it's going to be backwards looking. And interesting enough, it's going to be the first time looking at a 2-year time period backwards. Over the past handful of years, they've been interim periods, so 1-year reports and reviews, whereas this one, with a change in the conditions document, we'll be producing one report covering both 2022 and 2023, which is the biennium overall. The report is progressing as expected. We already had David Penn on the line talking earlier. He's been a great support piece, getting all the data in line, getting all the work papers and attachments completed. Those things are once again about 99% completed and done. And then we've got our draft that we're working on. The specific action request from this advisory group is you'll be receiving an email with a Word document to that biennial report draft. You'll receive that right around a month or so from now by the 15th of May. I'll request if anyone has time, input, expertise, all those things, if you'd like to provide feedback, about 2 or so weeks, so by the end of May. So that way my team can spend right around 2 more weeks and putting those inputs in, making any final adjustments, and then getting that final draft filed by June 15th, which is the requirement from that same conditions document. So this is all in line. We're not seeing any initial data that's going to be alarming. Things like our cost effectiveness, our direct benefit to consumers, our budgets, all those things are looking right in line as expected, and as we've informed this group over the past 2 years about this plan. Okay, and that's really our last information-based topic. On the screen right now, we just have our upcoming meeting cadence. The next meeting is conveniently also on the 17th of the month. It'll be July 17th, and I welcome everyone to please join that meeting if your time does allow to help us discuss the topics that are coming up in the summer. The meeting invitations have already been dispersed for that. If you don't have one, please reach out to myself directly, caleb.reimer@cngc.com. I'm more than happy to provide you that link or just share it to anyone in your organization who you think would benefit our group here. Great, and that is the last slide. I'll leave the microphone open right now if anyone has any general comments or questions or topic we should discuss. Otherwise, we'll hop off the line and enjoy the rest of the day.